All right, family, of course, welcome back to the Sunny Side View. Of course, you know our podcast is here, always celebrating everyday heroes and heroines. And I have some amazing super moms here with me today. I've got my friend Mimi, my friend Rashida, and my friend Lashaunda, who y'all all know I like to call Dr. Lashaunda. So we are super excited to be together because we get to talk about some challenges, some expertise, some things that we've seen just being moms in the 2020s and these out here in these streets. Okay. So just trying to tap in with one another. I've got my girls with me and we just gonna chat a little bit about what it means to be a mom. So first, let me just ask you guys to introduce yourselves. We'll start with Mimi. Mimi, tell me your name and how long you've been doing this mommy thing.
So I am Amy. Of course, I've been doing this mommy thing. So at first I had the initiation into being a mom by being a stepmom. And then I had my lovely daughter, and she is a thriving 5 years old, going on 50-year-old lady.
Right.
And I've been dedicated to being a single mom for 4 years. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. We're gonna get into that. Thank you. Rashida, what about you, ma'am? How long you been mommying?
I have been mommying for almost 25 years.
My God.
Yeah. This August will be, gosh. Yeah. Oh, August will be 25 years that I have been a mom.
Wow. And you're not just a mom now, right?
No, I'm not just a mom now. I am actually a yummy, also known as a grandmother. So I have a 1-year-old granddaughter. Yes, I'm a yummy.
A yummy. That is so
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
Dr. Lashaunda, what about you? How long have you been doing this mommy life?
I've been doing this mommy life for, let's see, our oldest will be 23 in August.
Yeah.
And our twins just turned 19. So a long time. Time.
You know what I just realized? It's 3 twin moms on here right now.
I got my twinsters with me. That's it. My twinsters.
Hey!
Mimi got next.
We gonna tap you in, Mimi.
Y'all should see Mimi's face. She said, well, not too much. I love it. Okay, y'all know I'm Sunny. My husband and I, we have 7 children together. We love our oldest just turned 18 yesterday, Monday. But like Mimi, I was blessed to be a bonus mom to her older 2 siblings who are now 22 is the oldest. Destiny, I think, is 22. So yeah, it's been a long time. We've been out here in these mama streets, we've been out here doing these things. So I want to ask y'all first, just being a mom, y'all, what is the hardest part of being a mom? What do you feel like in a real everyday type of understanding? What's one thing that keeps you up at night? And I'll go first just to give people some time. Y'all, my college kid, because her phone is attached to my phone, and when I see that she not at home at 2 a.m., I'll be up, sitting up, can't go to sleep till she get back in that dorm, y'all. I couldn't take it. My husband be like, go to bed. I'll be like, I can't do it. And I think it made me realize like how you never stop being a mom. Like, and I thought about like, I'll call my mama today for some money. Mom, give me some money. You know what I'm saying? And so it just really made me think about how, you never stop. Like you never stop being a parent. If you're an active parent, let's be clear, you never stop being a parent. You're always thinking about how your decisions, how your choices, how they affect your seed, how they affect those children that, that you are responsible for. So that's me. That's probably one of the hardest things that I would say is tough on me. What about y'all? Anybody can go. What y'all think?
Ooh, I think you hit it on the head with the college student, and I have 2 that Life 360 be working overtime, and I feel like I'm working overtime, and especially because they 12 hours away,
Yeah. Oh
right?
yeah.
And so we don't have a lot of family in those states. So I'm trying to find out, where are y'all going
Where's
on
y'all at?
Highway 99 at some 1 o'clock in the morning, and who you riding with?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
That be
what's
the
really
point.
going on?
It's not
Mm-hmm.
you that I don't trust. It's these other kids. I don't know
That I
who
know
raised
nothing
Other
them.
about.
kids.
I don't know who
Exactly.
raised them.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I,
And I find that even with like some of the people that they meet, right? They are, I feel like even as teenagers, even as, they meet new people, like they're still striving to fit in,
Mm-hmm.
mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
so some of their behavior becomes a little different. And I'm that mom. I'll be checking it in a minute. This is not what we getting ready to do.
Yeah.
I need you to stay focused. I need you to stay prayed up, because it's so easy
Yeah.
to fall into the trap of, come on, let's go to this party, and drink the jungle juice and all. They've been
Not the jungle
experienced,
juice.
honey. And so we
Yeah.
had those talks. And so it is, you be up late at night and you be worried,
Yeah.
about, what time they're gonna be back in their dorm room, and
Yeah.
are they safe? And it's tough. You never stop
Yeah.
being a mommy.
Yeah.
You
You
don't.
never stop. Rashida, what you think?
I think it's a few things. I already had one that went through college.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that was pretty tough. And then, my oldest son, he's in college now, and he's like a 19 to 22-hour drive away.
Yeah.
So luckily he's, one of those kids who's pretty even keen, and he's pretty predictable.
Yeah.
But still it's that distance, and I feel like letting go and letting them have some responsibility, because I'm so used to managing 4 different personalities, and
Mm-hmm.
overseeing everything. So relinquishing some of that control and power has been difficult in parenting, because you raise them a certain way, but
Yeah.
you just you want them to remain the way you raised them, but
Yeah.
none of us ended up, for the most part, we all did our own thing. But yeah, so having them that far away, and not having hands or eyes readily on them, that has been a challenge. That really has.
Mm-hmm. I definitely want to come back to this where you talked about giving them some responsibility. So I'm gonna make sure that I come back to that. Mimi, what about you? What do you feel like is the toughest thing? I know we kind of talked about our older kids, but I know you got your baby who is in elementary school. Or they're going to elementary school. So how do you feel like, what is probably one of the hardest things that when you think about it, you're like, oh my goodness, this is a rough job.
One of the biggest challenges that I have is going to be right back in school. I'm also working full time, and then about time she gets out of school, I'm still working, and then I feel like at the end of the night, I'm like, man, I feel like I should have had enough time for her, but I didn't have enough time. And so it's the time when I finally have enough time for her. Those are the days that her daddy. So it's, I wish I could, but I know that as I, get more developed and more experience, I'll be able to determine time. But that for me, was challenging, like not having time to spend with her.
Not having enough time with her. Yeah, I think you're going in and out a little bit. So just let me know if you're going to fix it up, and we'll make sure we get you when we come back around to you. But Rashida mentioned something about responsibility, like giving kids responsibility. And so when I know even for my older kids and my younger kids, it's like, it's a difference. So, my oldest daughter, she actually went away to sleepaway camp when she was 6 years old, right? I don't know what I was thinking, but, but I was working for the Y. I did go up to the Y and train all of them myself. So I knew they was good. I also did their drill before she came up there, so they knew what they was doing. But I sent her away for 2 weeks. Now I also went up there after week 1, just to check in. But sent her away for 2 weeks. When she came back, she was like super responsible. Like, because when you send the kids away to something like that, they teach them, hey, you got to clean up your area, and it ain't nobody else telling you. It's like, hey, you and your cabin mates, you got to do this, you got to do. So when she came back from there, she was super responsible, and I feel like she kind of carried that on. The sibling next to her didn't go away. So I feel like I've been chasing after him his whole life. Okay. And so I wonder, as we start talking about, at what age do y'all feel like it's a good time to start getting, really having some solid responsibility pieces? Because I see the difference between my older two, and that could be personality. So it doesn't necessarily mean, and I'm not, I'm not a misogynist, so I'm not saying that because she's a girl is this, or because you're like, that's not it. But I wonder sometimes, how do we ensure that the children that we are raising are responsible young people? Because I've seen a lot of kids that don't have any care about being responsible for their space or other people's space. So at what age, what do y'all feel like y'all did, or what do you wish you could have done to your child who was younger, to try to encourage them, or did you do that encourage them to be responsible as they got older?
For me, I think it really depended on the child. Because like you said, they're two different people.
Yeah.
I think with Imani, because for the first 5 years of her life, I was a single mom. She automatically was, handed some responsibility. And it would be simple things like I would iron her clothes for the week, but she had to make sure they were in the right spot, or she had to, when she wasn't in uniform, she had to make sure she picked out what she wanted so that I could iron it for the week. So it was about, routine, so that it was one less thing that I had to worry about. But then with Jelani, I coddled him more because he was the sickly baby. He's the miracle one that they didn't think would make it to one. So he was, he was coddled, but his personality was one that he was still independent. Like, no matter how much I tried to do for him, he's the one that he does for himself. With the twins, just keep praying.
Yo, them twins will wear you out. I be trying to tell the Saints. I be like, they defeated me. I tell everybody.
Y'all. And I mean, and they're so different. So I feel like I have to give them, like, I may be able to put more of a task on one of them, but not on the other. Yeah. One is more observant, and one is more of a protector. Like, so it's like certain things that I can task them with as far as responsibility, but the rest of the time I'm just like, what did I
do? Yeah, I feel you. Lashaunda, what do you think? How do you feel about, that particular question? Was it earlier? Do you wish you did some different things earlier? Did you do some great things that you're seeing the fruits of now? What does it look like to you?
So for ours, so Alyssa, when she was younger, Alyssa's the oldest, we didn't realize that Alyssa was actually ADD. So when we would try to give her small tasks early on, she couldn't stay on task, and she needed constant reminders to, like, brush your teeth, make your bed, little things like that. And I became frustrated because I'm like, well, she's not listening.
Yeah.
What's going on? Like in a career, like, okay, clean up, everybody do your share. She would never participate in helping to clean up. And so that's when we knew that, something was wrong. But for the twins, mine are completely opposite too. So Rashawn, early on, she's very strong-willed. She's very, on top of it, very, likes her things neat, make sure she's organized. And she was more of the protector for Devin. Devin's the baby. And he was more like, leaning on her all the time to, come on, Devin, we got to do this or we have to do that. Um, but as they got older, um, Alyssa, she started getting better. It wasn't until she got older, when we started teaching her about credit, and she wanted a newer car, and making her car payments and starting off with a credit card to kind of boost her credit, and teaching them about credit is when she started becoming more responsible. She knew that she had a budget to make sure, like, she couldn't get on Sheen and My Pretty Little Thing and be
Listen,
shopping all the time.
that sheen will get you. Okay,
That Sheen will get you. Do you hear me?
it's the
And
coupon.
Hyundai, and
It's
they
the
have
coupon.
carts. Now it's the Affirm, and I'm like, you still have to pay this stuff off, and and so, but now as they're older, Alyssa's better. Devin. So here's the thing about Alyssa and Devin. They're really alike in a lot of ways, with the exception of Devin was never ADD, but Devin was really, really bullied, really, really
Mhm.
bad, and uh, made attempts to commit suicide. And it was a struggle. And he was in middle school, and that's why I was, making that comment. Like, in middle school is when they need us the most.
Yeah,
Teachers, administrators, parents. Just it's a change. They go
yeah,
through a life transition when they go from
yeah.
elementary to middle school. And then you got friend circles and cliques, and they have teams here, so you may not be on the same team as your friends in elementary. We only have one middle school in Urbana, so we have like 7 elementary schools. So all of those kids that are coming out of 5th grade are coming to middle school. But he was really bullied, and he really became withdrawn.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was very difficult for him to do tasky things, even as much as like taking out the garbage, because he was so afraid. And so we coddled him a little bit more, because not to take away from the other two, but he had a greater need. And when you think
Yeah.
about your child, saying, I'm just going to kill myself. They're going to kill me at school, being stabbed with pencils, scissors, trip, punch, tease in the PE locker room, to the point where we had to get a separate room for him to dress in, just to dress in, because he was a little huskier, and, they used to tease him. He had man boobs and things like that. And so, honestly, that's the reason why I wrote my dissertation based on that, because it was a personal experience. It was more relevant. It was more, um,
It's
if you're
real.
wondering what the signs are, it is so real. And I just really wanted to have those transparent moments um, with them and with people who are experiencing the same things, that it's not, that they can't do the task. There are some issues underneath, some underlying issues that are preventing them from being able to be, you know, um, incomparable to the other siblings, why they can't
Yeah.
do some of the things that they can do.
Yeah, no, and I think both, a couple of us may have said the word coddle, but I feel like you mentioned it. You said we know what our particular child needs. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, I'm like, I had to kind of unlearn this, what society tells me is loving on my kid too much. Like, no, if my kid is crying, I'm going to pick them up. Like, I'm not, and you're not finna say nothing to me about it. Like, you know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
The world is gonna be
Like,
tough enough.
yeah, don't let the world drag them.
Oh
I'm not
yes.
doing
Oh
that,
yes.
and I
Yeah.
have rough, I have tough conversations with my kids, but at the same time, I want them to know that there's always a safe place that I don't care what I'm going through, I can call my mama, and my
Yep.
mama is gonna be like, well, you could come sleep over. She lived 4 states away. She want me to come sleep over, but that's the love that she has. So yeah, no, thank you for sharing that and being so transparent. Mimi, what about you? Are there some things, when you think about your baby girl, do you think that there are things that that you're trying to do right now to show independence? Or are you like, no, I'm okay with baby just leaning and depending on me, which is fine?
First, and let me know if you can hear me. Everybody can hear me fine?
Yep.
Okay, great. So at first, so my daughter, she's considered special needs. She has a lot of health conditions where, because I'm not familiar with that type of thing, I used to hold on tighter to her, like, okay, no, you can't jump over that puddle, or no, you can't run around, or and so as I began to see, like, she was like, mommy, I'm okay to do it, with her verbalizing and saying that she's okay, then I begin to realize, okay, it's all right for me to let her do like a little bit, like if she wants to jump down the steps or she wants to do anything that she's capable of doing, it's okay for me to do that. I believe sometimes when you go through trauma as a child, you try to, in your mind, you have like, I don't want her to have the same childhood. When in reality, if you're putting those thoughts out there, you're allowing that spirit to even linger and to recognize that, hey, we might want to mess around. And so I felt it was important for me to let my daughter just be free. And not like so crazy and far out there, but just to explore and to know that it's okay for her to thrive in certain areas where I might have been frightened to as a child because of my experience. But it was totally okay for her to do things, and she doesn't have to be held to limitations because of being labeled as special needs or having different medical conditions. She doesn't have to be under that label, because with my faith and everything, I know God is a healer. So if I'm holding her too tight and telling her in her head, you can't do this because of this, then she's gonna believe it. And so it was important for me to allow her to just be herself and not hold too tight onto her. Right now, she's going to go to counseling for social anxiety and separation anxiety, which I was like, for me, I'm like, at first, like, maybe it's just me, and I'm like, no, some things is a little bit different. So let me
your child. Your child.
Pediatrician to see what is the best step that I can take. And in my head, I was like, what? Maybe if people look at me like I'm a bad mother, but I'm like, you know what? I can't think like that, because I have to do what's best for my child. And so I believe as I continue on listening to her and to hear her out, then I'll know what's best for her. As a mom, because I'm an adult, I'll know, most of the best things. But to listen to her, to give her that freedom of choice, to understand that she does have her own mind, and to help thrive in the best way she can at this innocent age. That way, she can make great decision making when she's become a teenager. So having, the capability of making a decision is giving her that little bit of responsibility. I try not to put too much on her.
Right.
That much responsibility.
No, you actually dropped like 5 gems just when you was talking. But you said something about I have to make sure that I'm allowing her to be free, and I think that's really hard for parents, for moms especially. This, whether we be birth moms, whether we be chosen moms, it is so hard that the child that we are called to allow them to grow and to go. I think Rashida said sometimes you just gotta let up a little bit. And so it's gonna bring me to my next question. And I'm laughing about it because my kids say that my answer has changed from now to how it used to be. But I want to ask y'all, what is your parenting philosophy and how has it evolved over time, if it has? And so I'll start with myself. I like to tell on myself first. And Rashida knew me before I had, the twins, and before I was remarried. So I was a single mom with 3 kids, and I was just a bit of a drill sergeant. Okay. I was very sharp. I was very quick, but I did feel like, when I look back on it now, I had to be like it. I couldn't afford for you to act up in school, because I cannot leave work to come to the school to get you. Okay. If I leave work, they gonna try to fire me, and then we can't eat, So my mindset was I'm drill sergeant that, it's completely different now. My older kids say you a whole different parent, because they like Anthony and Sunday, they can say no and you be like, I hear your words. But I also feel like in these past years, Anthony and Sunday are 5. So in these 5 years, I have also done a lot of research and realized that if I had to ask myself a question as a child who, overcame sexual abuse. Am I going to tell my child that they cannot say no to an adult?
That's
You know
it.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's messed up. Like when I really thought about it, I was like, yo, and it started making me think like maybe that's why I didn't say anything when I was 5 years old being touched by an adult for years. You know what I'm saying? Because in my mind, somebody continued to tell me that you can't say no to adults, right? So anyway, that's how my philosophy has kind of shifted over the years. So I'm definitely a whole different parent today. I admit this myself. What about y'all, Rashida? What you think? How has your philosophy shifted? Has it not? Are you still the same? I
No,
feel like you was a hippie parent anyway, so I don't know. I feel like I don't know if Rashida was really about that life. I think she froze a little bit. Lashaunda, you can jump in while we wait on her.
Well, it for me, I didn't really have structure growing up, right? So my mom, I grew up single parent mom. My father was always in my life, but my mom had to work. And she was more of, do your chores or whatever. And then I had this free time. And so, like, people can come over, we play the Atari game, we just eat, drinking all the Kool-Aid and,
Uh,
doing, just having fun. But when I got older, um, I was like, no, if I ever become a mom, I'm never going to, my kids can't be doing all that. We're not doing the sleepover thing. Like I could go
yeah,
spend a night, and I was like, no, we can't do that. We living in different times. I
right.
just, we need to have some structure here.
Yeah,
And so what a lot of people don't know is I went through fertility with both pregnancies. And so it was very hard for me to conceive. Um, anyway. And so I was like, if I ever have kids, I'm going to make sure that, we have structure, we have this, that, the other. And it was very easy for me to put it in place. Now we're not, because I said so, and I would never give a valid reason. And that's not fair either to just say,
yeah,
no, you can't do it because I said so.
yeah,
And so I started saying, I don't know their parents well, or Uncle Joe might come over drunk and, he might, get on the floor and be in the wrong place, right?
and I
Those
would
are
hate
things
to have
that,
to blow that whole house up.
do you hear me? And so I was like, no, everything was like, no, well, you can go for a little bit, come home by the street lights, like
Yeah,
that mom.
yeah,
But now that, and now it's shifted, right? Because now that they're older, I'm a little more chill. I feel like they know, especially the twins, like they're in school. You going to school 12 hours away. Them grades ain't right. You're gonna be right back in Illinois,
I know that's
right? You
right.
can go. I'm not, we're not playing this game. So you go and kick it and do 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, like 360, ding, 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 ding. But I'm not so over the top. I allow them to be themselves and
Yeah,
and to find out what it's like to have friends or so-called friends, and um, how to carry themselves. It's not like they don't know,
yeah,
and so I'm like, everything that you do, no matter who you are, how old you are, people are always watching you,
yeah,
right? And I used to be like, well, you tied to me, don't be out there looking, doing some crazy stuff. But I can't say, if they were to get in trouble, they know better.
yeah,
Right. So it's not like, and so often as moms, I see so many moms talk about how when their kids get in trouble, they're blaming themselves because maybe I didn't do this right, maybe I didn't do that right. And I used to be in a place where if they didn't do the right thing, I'm gonna blame myself because is it something that I missed? Is it something that I didn't get it right? And then I said, nope, I'm human.
yeah,
I'm human. I make mistakes, and I allow them to understand that now it's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to fall down and just get back up, pick yourself back up. For Alyssa, we're in this period where she's looking at the twins and she feels like she's failed because she's not, she doesn't go to school, she went to CNA school, but we praised her for those milestones because, teaching her and encouraging her and praying for her to embrace her disability. Because with her ADD, she feels like people can tell. And like, people don't know unless you tell them. You work and you count money at a grocery store and you take care of a client privately. There are some things that you know how to do. How you structure that in a classroom or you're learning, if that's something that you desire to do, we just need to use our resources and know that it's okay. Right. And so allowing them to take those steps and learn how to advocate for themselves, like pulling the plug and saying, you know what, I can't, I advocated for you all these years, and encouraging them to use their voice, for everything, when they need something or when something's not fair, it's not right, use your voice and advocate, stand up for yourself. Whereas I used to be that mom that would just be like, okay, this is, my name is Lashaunda Cunningham and my child is blah, blah, blah. And I would like to call a meeting because blah, blah, blah is happening. Right. And now it's reversal. Like Devin never had to advocate for himself. So now he's forced to, right? Because he's 12 hours away. And for the first week of class, he shut down. He wouldn't talk. And I'm like, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it because you have to use your voice. But I can't be there for you. I can't speak for you. You have to learn how to speak for yourself and know that it's okay because you want to be successful. You're there for a reason, and it's okay because I guarantee you the same person that has a problem or a question, you might be that person that asks that question for them. So it's learning how to wean myself from them to where I'm not always being the forefront like when they were younger and reaching out to the teacher or but it was structure.
I think it goes in. I think it goes against our innate active motherhood to not step up for our kids. You know what I'm saying? Like I to this day, my mom, any of my siblings or my cousins who were raised with us, say something wild to them and my mom is coming. Like my cousins is 40, 50 years old. It don't matter. Like in her mind, I think people don't really think about how hard it is for us to not be there, like Mimi said, and not tell them, no, don't jump, to let them jump and hope they don't fall. I don't think we really talk about that. I feel like instead it becomes you're coddling, you're babying, you're doing this. But like Rashida said earlier, the world is gonna be mean to them. Why am I supposed to be?
Yes.
Why do I not get to embrace? And I feel like for Black women, the narrative is always that we have to be a tough mother. You know what I mean? I want to be the gentle mom sometimes. Now, I sometimes.
And that's, and I think that's how my philosophy has changed as a mother, because when I started out, I was raised by a single mother who was raised by a single mother who was raised by a single mother. So you see, this thing was generational. So one thing they knew was hard work, but toughness, it was always like work. I don't have time for BS. You're going to do what you got to do. And if something hurt me or offended me, I had to deal with it myself.
And you keep going.
You keep going. And then what happened when I had, my children, especially with Imani, is I was continuing that pattern. And then I was like, you know what? This is not working, because the one thing I wanted most was a safe place. So if that's what I wanted, why don't I think she would want it? So then that's how I had to, stop being such a hard parent. Like, oh, well, But they say sticks and stones may break your bones, but names will never. No, that it hurts.
Oh, they do, and it causes trauma.
Exactly.
And our kids, they take it on the inside, and we teach them to do exactly what we were taught to do, which is keep going, even though we bleeding.
Internalized.
Right.
And so I think that's one way that I can say my parenting philosophy has changed. I'm not as like, just suck it up, buttercup. Like, you know, if it's a problem, I need to know about it, because how can I help you fix it? I want you to know that I am here. You know, I'm here to support you. And, you know, I'm constantly asking them, you okay? Everything good? What's up? You know, because that's not something I had. But there were times I needed that talk. So I wanted to make sure I could give that to them.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think I want to be able to embrace all sides of motherhood. As a woman, as a black mother, I want to be able to love my kids fully, you know, holistically. You know, I want to be able to give them tough love, but I also want to be able to be soft enough that I'm ready for a hug when it's time. You know what I mean? And so that's something I'm constantly working on, because I'm the same way. Now, I was raised, you know, in a household with both parents. And you know, we also had cousins who were being raised with us. So we had a loud house. It was a lot of kids. My grandmother also lived with us. So I was raised in a multi-generational house that I'm still trying to get my parents to move in with me so I can make that happen. Right. But when I got divorced from my oldest children's father, it was, I had to become something in order to make it. And, you know, I see it, you know, I can definitely tell, you know, but I can definitely tell that my heart has changed, you know, since I've remarried, and having someone to depend on. But them years as a single parent, it was like, it was me or nobody else. Because not only was I a single parent, I was a sole provider. So I didn't get any help financially or otherwise. And so because of that, you know, you got to fight every day, you know? So when people be looking at you like, dang, you always at work. Yeah, who else gonna feed these kids? Like, you know, in my mind, I couldn't even go back to school because I was working. No, I was working multiple jobs. And so Mimi, you know, it kind of brings me to you about, you know, what is your philosophy with parenting right now? And understanding it very well may change, or maybe it has already changed. But you know, what do you feel like your parenting philosophy is?
I'm gonna be transparent. When you asked that question, I had to Google, like, okay, what is my parenting philosophy? Like, do I actually have a parenting philosophy, or am I just winging it? And I find myself some days I really do just wing it, because I like some things she says and some things I'm like, what in the world convinced you to do this? Like, why did you decide that it was okay to put a booger on my shirt? Like, what made you okay with that? Like, and then I had to realize, like, I had to check myself, because one day I had got really frustrated with her, and I'm like, and you're 4 years old and you're supposed to be, and I'm like, wait a minute, play that back now. Like,
you're 4 years old.
And, like, you're really going in on 4 years old about doing 4-year-old stuff. Like, come on, girl. And so I had to, like, so when I say that when I started going through my divorce, I went through like this mourning period, and I feel like I was withdrawn as a mother. I didn't want to be touched. I didn't want to be talked to. I was like, can somebody please come get her? She was crying at night because she was feeling my emotions. I'm crying out because I'm feeling her emotions, my emotions, and just feeling like, oh my God, it's just too much. And I was a little tough on her, and she was only 2. I was really tough on her, like thinking that she needed to know stuff, but I'm like, there's no way she would need to know stuff. She's only been on the earth for 2 years. But now I realize that I'm a lot more compassionate with her. And I'm a lot more gentle with her, because she is going through that stage of, mommy, why? And or why do I have to? And when I was growing up, it was like, well, you don't ask me why, just because. Like, and I didn't like that. So I'm like, I probably need to give her a logical reason, because she is one of those kids, like, she's like, Mom, I'm a scientist, so this is why I think this.
That's right.
She's like, mommy, what you're saying isn't making any sense, so why are you saying that? And you know, and so I try to be more compassionate, try to listen to her. I try to make it make sense to her at her age. That way it doesn't, it doesn't seem so elaborate. She asked me the other day, she said, Mom, how do I see Jesus? She's like, do I actually need to die to see Jesus? I can't just see him. Like, I need to die. Like, she's like, that's kind of cruel that I have to wait to die to see. I'm like, okay, let me make it make sense to her. So just try to be more compassionate and realizing that she doesn't know everything. And I have to teach her things she doesn't know. She's going to ask, and I have to be more patient with her. It's easy to be impatient when you got a lot going on, and when life is life and really hard, it's easy to like snap. But I have to be, I have to take moments away, and I have to realize, the more and more I've been able to realize that it's okay to take like 5 minutes away. I don't have to be mommy for 5 minutes, because I need to recalibrate and I need to refresh myself.
Yeah.
So I can be a better mom. I'd rather they take 5 minutes than me just snapping. Then all of a sudden I got 50 years behind the bars. Like, come on now, you got to be better. You gotta think smart. Gotta think smart. You can't be like, oh, like, can't smack them in the face and nothing like that. Lock you up quick. So you gotta take some time away. Be like, you know what? Let me walk away. So just being more compassionate.
And I think the question thing is hard sometimes, because like sometimes the questions kind of like blindside us. But I think I started to feel like I better answer the questions or hear them out, because at some point, once again, they're going to internalize, they're going to stop asking that stuff, or they're going to ask the wrong people. So it's like, I may not want to answer these questions all the time, but I got to say something, because if not, they may turn to somebody who doesn't have the best answer for them. I'd rather them ask me or their dad than ask somebody else in the street. So I don't want to discourage them by being frustrated every time they ask me something, because then it's going to be, how like we had that one teacher who was just over it. After a while, you turn, they don't care, I didn't want it to be like that with my own kids. So, it's like you kind of have to reel it back in, like, okay, so you got to start answering these questions.
Yeah, I agree. And I think even more importantly, that we got to let kids be kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think one thing, even as my philosophy changed, it was really about ensuring that I was experiencing life with my kids, that I wasn't so busy doing things that I didn't take the day to drive to the Y to play basketball, or go to the park, or I took my oldest daughter to get her first tattoo. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be the parent that is, you like, yo, my mom is gonna ride. Like, whatever we doing, she gonna ride. She got school, she got work, she got all these things. But when I need her to do something, she gonna come home from work and she gonna make it happen. And I think that's kind of what I didn't realize how important those moments were when they were younger. When my oldest were younger. And so now just trying to ensure that that's a change that I make. And, Rashida, I always see you at your kids' basketball games. You're going to be there. You're going to travel. Whatever you got to do, you're going to be at them games. Mimi, you always got that baby dancing or something. That baby going to be out somewhere doing something. Lashaunda, I feel like I know her kids, because I see about them every day. I ain't never met them kids in my life. But it's because you show that, you show that you really spend time with it. And so I want to ask y'all, what advice, would you have for other moms who maybe are struggling to balance the demands of parenthood with your own needs and desires, outside of being a mom, the things that you like to do for you, what advice would you give somebody that's like, hey, it's okay to be you and have your thing, and mommy too? What advice would y'all like to give? Anybody can go. Oh, y'all want me to start, or y'all got
it? I can go. For me, I think what the balance comes from you have to do something for you. There was a part where, like, my whole identity was being somebody's wife and mother.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember a few years ago I pitched Shark Tank. And afterwards, my husband and the boys, they were like in Winston-Salem. They were someplace where they had basketball, but I was going to Shark Tank, so I couldn't go with them. And afterwards, like, this was major. Like, I was pitching, and afterwards, I did not know what to do, like, because I was so used to just doing things with them. And I remember sitting in the car and just crying because I didn't remember things that I liked. I didn't know how to, pour back into Rashida. And it was like, well, what did you like to do before you became somebody's mother and somebody's wife. And it was like, I had a meltdown because I was like, I didn't know. But I drove myself to a coffee shop because no matter what, I love coffee, right? So when I was in that coffee shop, I made a promise to myself. It's like, you have to get back to you because you've allowed so many things to stretch you that you don't have your own identity now. And if you don't have your own identity, who do your kids see?
That's
Who do they
heavy.
see?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think you first, no matter what, yeah, we have to, take care of our kids. Yeah, we have to take care of our husbands, but you can't do that. Like, I always hate when people say things like, you can't pour from an empty cup, but it's true.
Yeah.
You have, even if it's something small, I don't care if it's going to a poetry set, writing poetry, like, you have to do something that brings you joy and that people know you for, like, oh, I know she's gonna go do this, like that's her thing,
Yeah.
So do that, and then it makes everything else easier because then you have that outlet. You don't look at everything else like a task. You're not resentful towards your family because it's all about them, and now you feel like you're left on the wayside. So you have to do something for yourself first, and then I feel like you're more pleasant when it comes to the rest of them.
I
Been
love
there,
that.
done that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Been there, done that.
And what are we teaching our kids when we wrap ourselves so much in them? So then when they grow up and they get married or they marry someone, they're expecting that person to do that. And you be like, hold up, that person be like, oh, I got my own thing. Like what? Like I'm a scholar. What you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want them to become codependent.
Yeah, I felt guilty for a long time. Like, they always say our world evolves around our kids. We do everything. We show up at parent-teacher conferences. We, sit and make sure we check their book bags and go over homework. When they're in sports, we had two, in sports and everything, basketball, baseball, softball, 18, 20 games apiece, and trying to figure out, okay, who's going to go to this game and who's going to go to that game, make sure that we are supporting them in both aspects by showing up to the games. And on top of, volunteering and doing, community service type work and volunteering at church and trying to include them in the process as well. And I felt guilty for, like, if I even thought about taking a hot bubble bath, something as simple as that, or just going in the bathroom for 5 seconds, but, still they come to the door because they need mommy, right?
Yeah.
But feeling guilty for so long, and really, my mom was the one that said, it's okay to take time out for yourself.
Oh yeah, it's okay to take time out for yourself
and not feel guilty doing that.
Yeah.
And the first time I tried it, it felt like something was wrong or something was just off because I did that. But once you do it once or twice, it was like a car ride or, sitting on the patio, just, alone. Just, probably going to sit in the park or, going to get a pedicure, something simple as that, just taking time.
Yeah. Whatever is the thing that's for you. Like what I love playing softball, watching softball games. I love to do it, whether somebody's with me or not. And that playing softball, I think I told Rashida once a couple years ago, that's the only thing that I do that has nothing to do with anybody else. It's just something I love to do. And you gotta people. I really believe that we have to encourage, particularly mothers, but women in general, to find something that is just for you. That you're not doing it because your husband or your spouse depends on it, or your kids depend on it, or your neighbor. Like this ain't no committee. This is just something I'm doing for me. And it just really balances it out because it's something that takes care of you because you enjoy doing it. So I definitely agree, Dr. Lashaunda. Thank you so much. Mimi, what about you? Do you have any? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask something else real quick when we were talking about how, when we grew up, how we had to be tough and we had to, do all these things, and it's okay. But also learning that it's okay to validate our feelings too. Like when we feel something and we hurt and we're painting and
Yeah.
we're tired, and it's okay to say,
I'm
I can't do
tired.
it anymore. I'm tired.
I'm tired. Yeah.
Validating our feelings, because we wear so many hats and we have to be, a lot of times we're overextended sometimes, and it's okay to say, I just can't anymore, and
But
not feel guilty.
we're taught that is failure though. Like we've been taught that means that we're selfish. And I remember my therapist said to me, Sonny, you have to realize that self-care is not selfish. And she just reminded me that if I don't take care of myself, I'm not no good no way, And so yeah, you're right. I think we've been taught that, we've been taught we don't get to say we can't. Like, and the audacity of this world to make us feel like we don't have the autonomy to say no, because that's essentially what's being policed when we say we're tired, when we say we can't, when we say we can't take on another thing. Essentially, you're really policing our no. You won't allow us to refuse, which is oppressive. So yeah, I'm ready. Rashida, you were gonna say something?
No, I was gonna say my therapist that became a part of my homework, was to do something for myself. So before our sessions would end, she would say, what are you going to work on for yourself over the next week? And at first that was the hardest thing to do. Like, it was like, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'll just sit down on the couch and watch something. She's like, okay, so what else? What else?
Yeah.
What else are you gonna do? And so after a while, it became easier to do. Like, and it became, I'm gonna schedule a coffee date with one of my friends, or I'm going to paint and sip with the boy's godmother. Like, it went from I don't know, or like something very basic, to now it's like a full catalog of things that I can pull from to do for just myself, and just to bring that balance back.
Yeah, that's good. Anybody else have some advice you want to give?
Yeah, I want to talk about what Rashida said when she first was talking about the identity piece. And so I feel like that's very important. And also what she said lastly is that I don't know, because identity and I don't know go hand in hand sometimes. So to talk about more so, right after I got divorced, I didn't know who I was. I was so much, I was a stay-at-home mom, doing things for my ex-husband, doing things for the kids, and I never did anything for myself. I always did things that would cater to everybody else and not myself. And so when I feel like my mind went into a panic, because I did not know what I liked anymore. I did not know. I felt like I didn't know anything about the world. I was like, oh, people doing this now, they're doing that now, because I was just so out of touch. But when you take the time out to find yourself, and whatever finding yourself looks like, finding myself is not the same for the next person. So whatever finding yourself looks like, and then you begin to know, like, whatever your time is by yourself, alone with yourself, whether it's reading a book, whether it's writing a book, whether it's assessing a book, whatever the case may be, what makes you feel, at the end of the day, is whatever makes you feel good. Do that thing. Now, if it's like something crazy and very unhealthy, you probably shouldn't do it. But whatever makes you feel good, whether it's, talking on the phone to a friend you haven't talked to in years, or going out and walking in nature and soaking up some vitamin D, whatever makes your soul feel good, that's the thing you should do as a mom. Because at the end of the day, when that, God forbid it ever happens, but if something ever happens that moment is taken away from you, you don't want to be so lost that you don't know how to recover and find yourself.
Right.
So do whatever it is in your heart that makes you feel good, that makes you feel like I'm back to me. Some people say that I gotta get back to me, but if you don't know who you are, get back to you. So do whatever it is that you can do within that week, within that day, within that month, that is going to make you feel good. Because ultimately, when we feel good as a person, as human beings, then we're able to show good to others.
Yes.
I love that. I love that. Okay, let me ask y'all this as we start wrapping up. Okay, I want to ask you this. What are some of the most rewarding aspects of being a mom, and what brings you the most joy in your role as a parent? So, what are some of the most rewarding aspects, and what brings you the most joy in your role as a parent? I'll hop in first. I'll say probably one of the things that brings me the most joy is seeing the fruit of my prayers come to fruition. I think that is something that I can't even put into words. To watch my children be confident, to be disciplined, to be passionate about what they are passionate about. I love that. I think one of the most rewarding aspects, probably when I recorded a podcast with my oldest two kids and just asked them about being raised by a single parent, and they were like, it wasn't too bad, you know? And so that was like a really rewarding thing, because I was like, I done messed these kids' life up.
That was a chair jerker episode too. Like that
It was so
God.
good. It was
Yeah,
so good.
it was very encouraging. I loved it.
It was so good. And so it was a time, but I think that was definitely one of the most rewarding aspects. What about y'all? Who wants to hop in?
I'll hop in. So for me, hearing how other people perceive her, or the light she gives to other people, I'm like, wow. So I'm actually doing all right. I'm actually doing a good job.
Right.
Like, yeah, to see how she is so well behaved, and how she is so well spoken, and how she has compassion for others, it just makes my heart feel really good, because it's like, man, even though I feel like I suck as a mom sometimes, because we all have the moments, right?
We all do.
I could have done something better, but your child is idolizing you, and they're doing things right. They're noticing when other kids are having bad behavior and saying, "Mom, this kid did this, and I know that wasn't right, so I didn't do that." So to hear her reflection of her day, it's like, man, that makes me feel good, and it's very rewarding to know, as even though she's a little one, just to know that how she thinks and her thought process. That's very rewarding for me.
I love that. I love that.
I think for me, one of the most rewarding things is, for one, all my children get along with each other. Like they are each other's friends. I was only child for 15 years, so I didn't grow up with any siblings in the house. But I know people who did. And sometimes, I mean, like, they just did not get along with their siblings, and not every day is peachy, but like they genuinely enjoy being around each other.
They like each other.
Yeah, they like each other,
Yeah,
so that makes me feel good as a parent, because it's like, oh, well, you didn't mess them up too much, or you didn't show favoritism towards one and not the other. So now they're, so that to me is rewarding, just their friendship within, their, being siblings. And then also just really.
I think you cut it. I think you cut out, Rashida. You might have hit the mute button again. We're gonna come back to your second point. Lashaunda, what was yours?
I would say you never really know how your kids feel, or how rewarding being a mom is, until I would say, like, when you hear them saying some of the same things that you've said to them for years growing up, and they're using the same words, or they're one thing that we practice in our home is, even if you agree, you get in a fight, y'all mad at each other, whatever, don't go to bed angry and mad. Make up before you go to sleep, because tomorrow's not promised. And so to see them with their friendships with, the people that they hang out with, and they agree to disagree, but before the night has ended, seeing them say, "Man, I'm sorry," or, "You still my girl," whatever, "I apologize if I've wronged you any kind of way." And that's something that I say a lot is, if I wronged you in any kind of way, tell me about it. Let's talk about it. Let's grow from it. And, how do we make that look different? And to hear them practice that and actually apply that to their everyday life is so rewarding, because we always say you reap what you sow. And so you want to build those and foster those relationships with people.
Yeah.
And let some people go, right? Because if you've you can forgive someone and not still be tied to them, right?
Oh, that's
Especially if
good.
they are disrupting your peace. There is so much chaos or it's chaotic. Learning how to accept your responsibility in the situation if there's something that you need to validate yourself, but also being okay with letting it go and knowing that that's not something or someone that you want to be attached to. So to be able to see them do that in their everyday life, and be okay with it, and knowing that it was rooted right
Yeah.
in their upbringing, and feeling good about themselves and being able to just go on, press on. I say keep pressing on.
Yeah.
It's so rewarding to see that. And it's kind of like, man, I did say that a lot, or I did, and to see them doing it, or them writing, papers and saying like, who's someone that that you look up to? And they say, I look up to my mom, or I look up to my dad, or I look up to my granny, who people that have played a
A
role in
huge
their
part.
lives to, yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. No, I love that. Yeah, it's a oh man, it starts to kind of pull on your heartstrings when you think about all of the possibilities. I always feel like our babies are gonna get the best of us. My prayer is always that they take the best of us, they take the worst of us and they learn from it, but they take the best of us
Amen.
and then they go higher. And so I'm super
Amen.
excited that we get to parent in this season and be an example, to other kids who maybe don't have a mom relationship. I think that's probably one of the things I've been intentional about is ensuring that I'm supporting other moms who, are experiencing a single life or are other kids who don't have active mothers. Just trying to be there. You know how your kids bring people over. You know how
Yes.
you just you gotta show up. I try to show up to the school and be dressed. Without
Oh
without looking
yes.
crazy. So I can support
I'll be going up in there with your bonnet on now.
Oh my goodness. But just to support the babies, and let them know like, hey, I started when I would get Mercy off the bus, I would walk all 11 of the kids into our neighborhood and walk, and drop them off to these elementary students. So walking with them to their doors, and one of the parents in the neighborhood group was like, you like the neighborhood mom. I don't never worry because I know you gonna make sure that they get home. I'm like, yeah, they snatching kids out here.
I
Like,
can
we
see
gotta
you doing that. That's
Mhm.
true. I can see you doing that.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's just it's something about I think about all these kids who all of these kids who struggle to live because they didn't have they didn't have that. They didn't have somebody who was concerned about them. So
Mhm.
any last words that y'all want to say before we cut out? Any last thoughts or things that you want to mention? Oh, Rashida, you're back. Did you want to finish your thought? I know you was running in and out. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, I think I was really just saying the other joy is just watching them become individuals. Um
Ooh,
be confident in who they are, what they like and what they don't like.
yeah,
Stand up for themselves and just to see like their different personalities, like they are really blossoming. And that is like, there's that time where you feel like, oh, I failed these kids. We don't mess these
yeah,
ones up. Let's start over, but then it's like they, you listen to the conversations and you see the actions and you're like, wow, they're really getting it. They're really getting the hang of life, and they're really finding themselves. So that in itself is rewarding. Just to see them become individuals.
yeah. I love that. That is something. I also like, when they remind you of yourself and they
Mm-hmm.
like say stuff
Mm.
back to you and you just have to
Yes.
look.
And you're like,
Ooh,
oh, so
Lord.
you did listen. Oh, so you.
Yes.
Uh, So you get
it.
Yo. Woo! You know that moment where you was like, oh. So I think I posted a video of it a couple months ago, maybe, where Sunday, SJ is 5 years old, and her, her twin is Tank, and so Tank took something from her, and she said, "You're stealing. You're gonna go to hell." And I said,
Yes.
SJ.
I remember that.
Yes, I think we all do. But I mean, that's what you got to think. Who, for one, who's her mother?
Who's her mother? Y'all, these kids are literal sponges. They just soak up whatever we say.
They do.
Which is why I don't get mad when I encounter kids who cuss everybody out, because I know somebody in your house is cussing at everybody as the regular talk. So I get off on a tangent about that, but I look at the way some of these parents come up to the school and stuff, and the way y'all communicate. I absolutely understand why your kid is not crazy. They're being raised in a traumatic household that we have to address. And so I think part of being a mom is taking a look at what we are doing, and ensuring that there's a safe place, for every kid. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You're right. They're gonna be independent, and they look just like you. They act like us too. So well, thank you, ladies, so much for hanging out with me. I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Sunny Side View. Of course, I hope the discussion on motherhood in today's society kind of shed some light on diverse experiences and perspective of moms everywhere. I definitely want everybody to remember that being a mom is an incredible journey filled with joys and challenges. And as we navigate those expectations and pressures and ever-changing landscape of modern motherhood, let's just remember to support and lift up one another. I'm so excited to hear your thoughts and your experiences. So please share them on social media, any of our social media platforms. Together, let's just continue to embrace and support moms everywhere. Until next time, keep shining bright, and don't you ever forget to always look at the sunny side view. Thank y'all so much.
My name is Sunday Joy, and thank you for listening to my mom's podcast.